Hi all, I have decided to continue with my videos on chief mates oral examinations. I have previously made 5 videos on the same topic. The links are given in the description section below. And this is the 6th video. Please make sure you watch all the videos. I have decided to take a few questions only in each video because a few of my subscribers suggested it's better that I take up only few questions and not too many questions in one video. Otherwise, probably they can't focus long enough. All right, so let's get started with the first question for today. Just if the surveyor asks you during the oral examination that when making tugs fast to your ship, of course, what safety precautions and aspects you would take into consideration. Now, when such a question is asked, remember, as soon as an operational question is asked to you, always keep the safety aspect paramount. It should be the most important aspect, even if it's coming at the risk of a vessel damage or anything like that. Safety of life, safety of crew comes paramount. Of course, you have to consider the safety of ship and safety of cargo as well. I'm not saying you don't consider that, but always remember to keep the safety of human the most important, because the surveyor might trick you into putting your crew in a slightly dangerous situation and tempting you to compromise on the safety. Don't do so. Even if you feel that that will lead to a damage of the ship, don't do so. Always keep the safety of the crew paramount. All right, so when making tugs fast as well, it's an operational procedure. You have to make sure that you definitely list out the safety points. So engaging with the tugs should always be considered as a high risk area of work. And as such, the following points would go some way to making the task as safe as possible. So firstly, clarify beforehand the method of engagement as to whether the tug line is to be used or the ship's line, and which lead is intended to be used. So of course, when you are trying to make the tug fast, this is during a mooring operation. So it goes without saying that you will say that everybody should be wearing safety gear. Communications should be established between the mooring party and the bridge. So of course, if you are the chief officer, you should have communications established with the master on the bridge. Then the gear should always be tested before the operations commence. So if you are going to use the mooring winches and windlass, which is expected, you should have tested this out. You will use the ISM checklist for preparation of the vessel before arriving port. So all that goes without saying. I am only focusing here on making the tugs fast and what safety precautions you would take into consideration. So start with the general answers and then go into the answer that I'm giving here. So make sure that you establish communication with the master and clarify and confirm whether you are going to be using the tug line or the ship's one of the ship's mooring line as the tug line, and which lead is to be intended. All right, so of course you know what lead means. On the forward part or aft part of the vessel there are different types of lead, and which one is to be used, the Panama lead or the mooring bits, or whichever one you want to use, you have to confirm it. Make sure all persons involved in the operation should be adequately donning the protective clothing and briefed as to the nature of the activities involved. Adequate communications should be tested beforehand, should be available before or between towing stations to the bridge and the towing vessel if appropriate. Normally now the mooring party has no communication with the tug or the towing vessel, but the master does and the pilot does. So you may not be able to have direct communication except for visual and by voice or by verbal, but that should be avoided. Always communicate through the master and the pilot, and that will keep you operations in more control. So if the tug line is to be used, make sure this is inspected to be free of defects and be seen of adequate strength. Throughout the operation, all personnel should be advised to keep clear of the bites in wires and ropes, especially if the mooring line, it's very dangerous to be anywhere around the mooring line or even near the whiplash effect, because even sometimes when you are letting go the mooring line, it's very dangerous because the mooring line can just have a whiplash effect where it may, so you must stay clear of it, always stay behind it, and letting go it, as soon as you let go, you should stay clear of it. If you are using the ship's line, then make sure that you have inspected the ship's line beforehand. You are giving the best line available to you. You are not giving an overused mooring line, and that also should be lowered carefully. If you are lowering it manually, then you must keep it monitored by at least 2 to 3 persons. It should be lowered slowly and at your pace when you are lowering it. If you are using the mooring winch, even then that should be monitored. It should be done slowly. These operations should not be done in a hurry, and always making sure that people are clear of the mooring lines or its whiplash effect. The eye of the tow line should not be placed on the bitts, but the wire should be set in a figure of 8 turns around the bollards. The top turns should be lightly lashed to prevent any kind of accidental jump off of the mooring mooring line or the tug line. So what happens is that when you are using the mooring line, let's say you are using your own ship's mooring line, or you are required to use the tug's line. Now the tug's line sometimes only come as an eye. So the eye is normally placed on the bits, but which is not advised. So when you place the eye on the bits, you should make sure that it is a strong point on the ships. But if preferably, try to use the mooring line in form of figure of eights around the twin bollards, and make sure on top of the mooring line, once you make a number of figure of eights, you should make at least 5 to 6 figure of eights, and that the top one is slightly lashed. It is not very tightly lashed, it is lightly lashed so that you can let it go quickly in case of emergency. But it is done so because as the tug starts to pull the ship, it's quite possible that if the lashing has not been done properly, or if the turns have not been done properly, the mooring line may come off the vessel, and that's dangerous as well. And like I said before, any kind of non-essential personnel should be kept well clear of tow lines and the towing area. Only the mooring party should be part of the whole operation. The next question is what do you understand by the term kedging? Now, the operation of kedging is a stern movement of the vessel by means of an anchor which is laid astern of the vessel. Now, some ships are equipped with a stern anchor with capstan or small windlass to handle a short length of chain combined with an anchor warp. Now, these are smaller anchors with smaller windlasses, smaller length of chain. These are not your major anchors which are in the forward part of the vessel. Now, other vessels are known to carry a designated lighter anchor than that of the bow anchors, known as a kedge anchor. Now, these would usually lend to being carried out by the ship's ports. Now, these are in specialized type of vessels where they do that. Now, kedging is the act of dragging the vessel astern towards the kedge anchor, and would usually be considered to refloat a vessel after when the vessel becomes aground, or when you are going for a breaching of the vessel, or you go aground, or you have done a soft landing on the seabed and you want to get off the seabed, then that is used as a dragging anchor. Alright, so this practice has been largely superseded with the advent of a more versatile tug, which can be far more effective when refloating a vessel aground. Now, of course, tugs are more powerful, they are more flexible, they can go in any direction, they can refloat the vessel in any direction, but the kedging anchor is used only in cases of emergency, or if you do not have a tug available and those services are not there, or it may take a long time for the tug to come and assist you, then sometimes the kedging anchor is quite handy. These are provided especially on ships which may be transiting river passages with low bottoms, or where possibilities of the ship touching the bottom is high, and that could be due to the effect of the tide, or it could be because of some operation that the vessel is involved in. The third question is what is a synchronized rolling and synchronized pitching, and what action would you take in either condition if it presented itself while you were on watch? So synchronized rolling is when the roll period of the vessel equals the period of the encounter of the waves. So you can of course use a timer to do so. You can time the period of encounter of the waves, and you can also use a timer to calculate the roll period of the vessel from one side to the other side. Now, this is considered a highly dangerous condition, of course, as you probably know. If you have been on a ship, then you know that when vessel is rolling, and if it specially equals the period of the encounter of the waves, this rolling can start developing, and a momentum can start developing with the rolling. And this is not a great condition for the vessel to be in, because if the vessel keeps on rolling, of course, the lashing issues come in. Nothing can be kept on the ship properly, and also the stability may be reduced. Sometimes you may start shipping in sea sprays. So all those considerations are there. There are a number of considerations, which is no point of going so. So synchronized pitching is when the period of the vessel pitching equals the period of the encounter of the waves from either ahead or astern. So as you know, probably when the vessel is pitching, it's the forward part of the vessel and the aft part of the vessel going up and down. And if also it meets the period of the encounter of the waves, this becomes an extremely dangerous situation, especially if this is in a case of abnormal waves with very high wave height. Now this can be overcome by reducing the ship speed or changing the period of encounter. Now you must have observed, if you have that many masters change the direction of the vessel, they look at the direction of the waves, they look at the direction in which the vessel is encountering the waves, and they make small alterations of courses, keep the vessel on hand steering of course, and make small alterations of courses in a way that the vessel does not meet head on, or the vessel when rolling does not equal the period of the encounter of the waves. So if you change the direction of your course and you change the ship's speed, then of course the period of the rolling and pitching will also change accordingly. That's the only thing you can do at sea. Unfortunately, there is nothing else you can do. You can't control the weather elements. The last question for today is, let's say your vessel has received orders to berth alongside another vessel, and this is done to lighten your ship, maybe to let go of the cargo, maybe you are going for a dry dock and you want to lighten the cargo, or this is the normal lightening operation, or you are doing a ship-to-ship transfer. What actions and precautions are you supposed to be taking? Now, when expecting to berth alongside another vessel, the following actions are suggested. Make sure that the vessel is correctly identified and communications have been established. Now, this is the basic one. Of course, you have to ensure that the vessel is the correct vessel that you are going alongside with. It will be highly stupid if you are going alongside a wrong vessel, but make sure that the vessel is identified, you have established communications, you have established the safety procedures and the actions to be followed. Both of you are on the same kind of wavelength, you have the same plan in mind, and established continuous communications all the time. Advise the other vessel of the date and time of berthing to ensure the reception for mooring lines and gangway. Make sure that the ship's side is well protected by fenders. You can use the Yokohama, the big fenders. If it's not available, you may temporarily install some fenders. You have the tires available, or you may ask the other ship, if they have more facilities, then they can use their fenders, if they have additional fenders, to cushion your vessel as well. And it should be done throughout the entire length of the vessel that it is alongside with, with the other ship. All right, so protect the side of the ship which is alongside with the other ship for the entire length. Now walk back the offshore anchor to be ready to hold the vessel off and check the rate of approach. And this is to control the movement of the vessel, because as you come alongside a vessel, your momentum has to be controlled, and that cannot be only using the ship's engines. Now of course it depends on the situation, depends on the weather elements, how strong the wind, current and tide is and all that. So you can use the ship's engines, but sometimes in some weather conditions you may also have to use the offshore anchor, that is the anchor on the opposite side to which the vessel is going to come alongside. And you use it to control the maneuvering of the vessel, the movement of the vessel, to check the momentum of the vessel, so that the approach is at your control. It's slow and steady, and it's a smooth operation where the two vessels come alongside each other. Even though the fenders would be there, it's a good idea, because we cannot anticipate how much momentum a vessel can have even at its slowest speed, and that can cause some shipside damage if you don't control it. Now moorings would be passed to the vessel alongside as the two vessels are drawn together. The moorings being set to include the springs to prevent the ranging of the vessel. So of course when we say spring lines, we are talking about the spring lines. So you have head lines, breast lines, spring lines, stern lines. So spring lines are the lines which go from the bow or stern. From the stern it goes slightly forward, from the bow it goes slightly aft. And those are the spring lines, and they are used to prevent any kind of ranging, any forward and back movement, so which will prevent the chafing of the two ship sides. Now once all fast, it would be the duty of the offshore vessel to supply the gangway access, or alternatively this would be supplied by the vessel with the highest freeboard. All right, when two vessels are lying alongside, it is anticipated that mutual cooperation would prevail in the provision of a safe access, and you can also carry out a security assessment and determine a suitable security level. Now this is of course very important, especially with ISPS coming in. You have to determine a security assessment, determine a security level as well, in terms of the gangway access, or in terms of, it could be a Jacob's ladder which has been lowered from your vessel, but you have to make sure that it's safe, it's been tested. Life jackets could be kept there as a standby. One person should be manning the gangway or the ladder or the access all the time. Then you should be checking the moorings all the time. People should be wearing safety gear all the time. There should be adequate people available for these operations to be taking place. The engine room will of course be notified. Emergency power supplies should be available, ready to be used. Firefighting arrangements should be there. So all these are basic safety precautions. There could be a checklist, an ISM checklist for ship to ship coming alongside, use that as well. So all that goes without saying. You must use all those safety precautions in your answer. But if you want to focus on the basic answer on the operational aspects of this particular operation, then these are the answers that you should definitely include. Other than that, you can include all the other safety aspects, the general safety aspects that should be observed during any ship operations. Alright, so let me know what you thought about this video. I was told by a few subscribers recently that I should continue making these videos as it's very handy for orals preparation. If you like these videos, let me know. Even if you don't like these videos, I look forward to your feedback. Always happy to improve on these videos, because my only intention is that you guys should learn. You guys should be able to pass your orals and face any question. You should be prepared for any question for your examination. All the best, guys, and let me know what other videos you would like to see on my channel. Bye.